It is now 7 o'clock, and I will call the meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
Vice President Anderson.
Here.
Councilor Blakely. Councilor Forbeck.
Here.
Councilor Keys. Here. Councilor Levy.
Here.
Councilor Preschel.
Here.
President Duncan.
Here.
There are 6 councilors present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Councilors, please mute your phones. All rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for Councilor Blakely's late husband. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. 3A is a proclamation recognizing February as Black History Month, and I'll read the resolution. Whereas in 1915, the father of Black history, Carter Goodwin Woodson, founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History and proposed the celebration of Black History Month. And whereas 2021's Black History theme is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity, emphasizing the history, literature, visual arts and film studies, sociology, anthropology, and social policy of the Black family. And whereas during Black History Month, the city of Beloit recognizes the champions of justice and the sacrifices they made to bring us to this point. We honor the contributions of African Americans since our country's beginning, and we recommit to reaching for a day when no person is judged by anything but the content of their character. And whereas it's our responsibility to address the inequities and injustices that linger, and we must secure our birthright freedoms for all people. As we commemorate Black History Month, let us reflect on the sacrifices and contributions made by generations of African Americans and all Americans. And let us resolve to continue our march toward a day when every person knows the unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas, let us commit ourselves to raising awareness and appreciation of African American history, and let us reaffirm the promise of our Constitution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beloit proclaims February 2021 as Black History Month in the City of Beloit and encourages the support and participation of all citizens to observe this month with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. Adopted this first day of February 2021, Regina Duncan, Beloit City Council President. Item 3B is a proclamation declaring February 1st, 2021 as Evelyn Kendricks Williams Day, and I'll read the resolution. Whereas Evelyn Kendricks Williams was born February 1st, 1921 in Okaluna, Mississippi, the third child and oldest daughter of John and Lily Kendricks. And whereas Mrs. Williams lost her mother when she was 10 years old, at which time she took on the responsibility of caring for the family home and her younger siblings. And whereas Mrs. Williams experienced the racism of the South when her father was forced from their home, leaving his 7 children to fend for themselves, and consequently, the children were dispersed to other relatives. And whereas even at a young age, her faith in God made her strong and determined to survive her struggles. And whereas Mother Williams, as she is known to most people, and her husband, Curtis C. Williams, relocated to Beloit, Wisconsin with their 6 children in 1950, influenced by the migration from the South featured in the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. This move was the beginning of 6 generations of over 100 devoted family members. And whereas Mother Williams is the definitive role model of a phenomenal woman and strong, loving mother, she is well loved and respected by family, friends, and everyone she meets. And whereas she's known for her cooking skills, especially desserts, such as cinnamon rolls and tea cakes, Mother Williams displays her zest for life in cooking, reading, and learning new things. Most recently, her GrandPad, which allows her to stay in touch with her family, who deeply cherish her. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Beloit hereby proclaims Monday, February 1st, 2021 as Evelyn Kendricks Williams Day in the City of Beloit, and together with all her family and friends, extend best wishes and congratulations on the occasion of her 100th birthday. Presented this first day of February 2021, Regina Duncan, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Stotler. At this time, Francine Williams Hinchin, who is my Aunt Franny, is here to accept the proclamation. Can you please come forward and share a few words?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. One of the things that my mother did teach us is to say thank you when someone does something nice for you. I'm going to take this opportunity to do that on behalf of our family. I'm to President Regina Duncan and the entire Beloit City Council, City Manager Lori Curtis Luther, thank you. I'm honored to represent the 6 generations of Evelyn Kendricks Williams as you acknowledge our matriarch on her 100th birthday. Just a little bit about my mother. On the surface, our mother looks like any average black woman who, with the assistance of our father, Curtis Williams, raised their children during the racial unrest of the 50s and 60s. But when you look deeply into her soul, the soul of this outstanding woman, you will see a woman whose faith in God carried her through difficult times, yet created happy times for her family, who took a little and made it seem like a lot, who took a family and made a village of loving, respectful people who helped raise each generation behind them. Mother Williams, as she's referred to as by many, has a natural motherly instinct that has drawn several people to her as a surrogate mother. We know that we are privileged. We're blessed to have that privilege to call her mother. And we thank you for helping us to celebrate her life, the life of Evelyn Kendricks Williams, and her 100th birthday. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. That said, Councilor Levy, is there anything you would like to add at this time?
Well, of course. First, thank you, President. Thank you, President Duncan. And as Regina said, that was her aunt, but that was also my aunt that made the presentation as well. To my grandmother on her 100-year birthday, and she is definitely watching tonight. She has been a true role model, a strong matriarch for our entire family. There's not a moment that you can't pick up the phone and call her for some advice. And what I like about it is she will always say, well, trust God, and look to God for direction. But she's going to give you that wisdom and that knowledge that she holds so well. So that's why our family is so close together. And even funny that even the other day when Hillary was doing the article, she actually thought I was one of the sons because we have such a close family that it's kind of hard to tell who's the nephew, who's the grandchild, because that's how close we are. But my grandparents raised us that way, that every holiday we would be at their house, even for Christmas. And when this is over, my grandmother probably called and yelled at me for talking too much. But even for holidays, she makes it a point to make sure that everyone gets a little token of love from her, whether it's a home baked goods or whatever. We just greatly appreciate and love her for all she has done for our family and all that she means to not only our family, but as my aunt said, to the entire city of Beloit. So once again, on behalf of the grandkids and the entire family, as Aunt Franny said, we greatly appreciate this. And on this great occasion, this great milestone, we thank you for the proclamation. We thank you for the day. And those are my comments, Madam President.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Aunt Franny, for being here to accept this proclamation on her behalf. and I'm honored to have Grandmother Williams in my life and to be part of tonight's presentation. And happy centennial birthday, Grandmother, because I know you're watching. All right, thank you, and have a good evening.
I believe Sherry.
So under item 4, there are no public hearings, which leads us to item 5, public comments.
We have reached the point on the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any requests at this meeting, but may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you please hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. Public comment is a courtesy, and we expect everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Speakers are asked to complete a public comment form or submit an email prior to our meeting. Madam Clerk, were there any public comments submitted prior to the meeting this evening?
No, we did not receive any written public comment.
Are there any members of the public that submitted a form to address the council this evening? At this time, public comment is now closed.
Item 6 is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any counselor like anything removed from the consent agenda? Can I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda, including items 6A through 6G? Is there a motion?
I so move. Nancy Forbeck.
Moved by Councilor Forbeck. Is there a second?
Counselor Keys will second.
Second by Councilor Keys. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or discussion? I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Forbeck.
Aye.
Councilor Keys.
Aye.
Councilor Levy.
Aye.
Councilor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes 6-0. Under item 7, there are no licenses. Under item 8, there are no ordinances this evening. Item 9, we don't have any appointments. So that takes us to item 10, which is counselor activities and upcoming events.
At this time, we'll have counselors to give their reports, and we'll begin with Vice President Anderson.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, I have no report.
Counselor Blakely. Counselor Forbeck.
Yes, my 2 comments. The first one is because I am in the aged group of getting COVID vaccines, received my first vaccine yesterday, and I cannot tell you how many compliments I want to give to the Beloit Health System and to our fire department personnel who were also there helping with this really needed many people to provide all the services that you needed when you were getting your vaccine. So thanks to all of them. Wonderfully done. Number 2, I just have to say, and I hope I won't get too maybe silly and emotional about this, but I'm telling you, this proclamation for Evelyn Kendricks Williams is so lovely, and thank you to the family for letting us into some of the wonderful, more private kind of information about Mother Williams. I love talking about her cooking skills, especially dessert, and her zest for life in all these ways, and most recently, her grandpad, which I suspect is an iPad, staying in touch with her family. We are so lucky in Beloit, I hope we all know this, how people and organizations work together and how we can all share in kindness and excellence and family issues. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Forbeck. Councilor Keys.
Thank you, Madam President. I do not have any report this evening.
Councilor Levy.
No report.
Councilor Preschel.
I just, I was going to mention some of the things going on with Beloit. They are in the process, hopefully in very early March, taking occupancy at the old Angel Museum, which should complete their first phase of remodeling too, so that they can move their offices there. And they will be, we're developing and continuing to work on a diversity, equity, and inclusive program, and working on making that a reality. That press release came out today, I believe. And I cannot end this without mentioning what a great job our plowing crews have done, and recognizing that yesterday it was acknowledged that this is the most snowfall we've had in 10 years. So they've had plenty of practice, and every time they get better and better. And this last snowfall was just amazing that they got it done and kept everything going. I looked down both side streets and main streets, and I was just astonished at how clear it was. And this last batch, thank you to the citizens of Beloit for following along with the snow emergency rules. There was a lot more cars moved off the streets and out of the way than I've noticed in the past snow episodes. So all in all, it was a wonderful achievement, and they kept everything running smoothly. We had huge turnouts planned for the Beloit Health System's vaccination program. That went smoothly, and it went smoothly because our streets were ready for it. And anyway, just outstanding job, Laura, to your crews and everybody, and being responsive to the needs of the city, and doing such an excellent job. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Preschel. Now I'll go back to Councilor Blakely. I know she was trying, we were having a little technical difficulty.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you,
I
Councilor
am
Blakely.
here. Thank you, but I have no report this evening. Thank you so much.
Okay. And now my report. I would like to again give my deepest heartfelt condolences to Councilor Sherry Blakely for the loss of her husband, Dave. Sherry, please know that we care and are here for you. Let's all keep Councilor Blakely and her family in prayer during this very difficult time. Next, I want to send love and blessings to Evelyn Williams, who I call grandmother, and wish her a happy 100th birthday. I am proud to be an extended part of grandmother's family, as so many others are in Beloit. What makes grandmother so special is not only her age, but it's her beauty inside and out. She has been in my life since I was a little girl, and always supportive and present when I have needed her. I am forever grateful to Grandmother Williams for the love she gave to me, my uncle, the late Arshel Hinchin, and our family. There is a poem by Maya Angelou which goes, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So thank you, Grandmother, for always making me feel special, and I hope that today, being Evelyn Kendricks Williams Day, is your happiest day yet. Happy centennial birthday, Grandmother. I love you. Finally, if you're interested in serving on a board or commission, please go to our City of Beloit website or call Pam Lathrop at 608-364-6614 for more information. This ends my council report for this evening. Next, we will go to item 12A.
Under the reports from boards and city officers, we have a series of bonding resolutions. The first being 12A, consideration of resolution 2021-11, authorizing the full redemption of $2,640,000, Community Development Authority of the City of Beloit, taxable lease revenue refunding bonds, series 2008. and $5,340,000 Community Development Authority of the City of Beloit Lease Revenue Bonds, Series 2009. Their Municipal Revenue Obligation Series 2009.
At this time, our Finance and Administrative Services Director, Eric Miller, will provide an overview and introduce the city's financial consultant. Eric.
Hi, thank you, and good evening to everybody. So this first item on the agenda is not related to the actual bond issuance that we normally do on an annual basis. This is a separate item related to calling the CDA lease revenue bonds that we have outstanding for two issues that were located in our TID number 10 TIF district. So we issued these lease revenue bonds in 2008 and 2009 to finance infrastructure projects located in the TID. And any of the bonds maturing after March 1st of 2018 were subject to redemption and a full call. And so at this time, what we're planning to do is fully call both of these issues with excess cash that we have on hand with the TIF district in order to save future interest expense. The CDA has approved these resolutions at their meeting last week, and both the City Council and CDA need to pass resolutions in support of calling the debt, and those will become due March 1st of this year when they will be fully paid off. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time that you might have relating to the CDA lease revenue bonds.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Before we do that, I'll take a motion. Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution first?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Preschel. Is there a second?
Second, Nancy Corbeck.
Second by Councilor Forbeck. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Blakely.
Aye.
Councilor Forbeck.
Aye.
Councilor Keys.
Aye.
Councilor Levy.
Aye.
Councilor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Item 12B, consideration of resolution 2021-15, providing for the sale of approximately $1,135,000 in general obligation promissory notes, Series 2021A.
Thank you, Clerk Stotler. At this time, I would like to have Don to please present items 12B through 12G.
Thank you, Madam President. There are several items on your agenda this evening, all related to the financing of your 2021 capital improvement program, as well as some refunding opportunities that we have worked through with staff. So I will kind of cover a few of the items as a lump. What is being shared with you on your screen right now is a pre-sale report. This is for the general obligation promissory notes for $1,135,000. And this issue is being amortized over a 10-year time period. And we include in these resolutions for promissory notes certain items that are either small dollar amounts in your capital or do not qualify for bond purposes. And we're amortizing them over a 10-year life and somewhat consistent with its useful life. So there's some police equipment in this, some fire equipment in this, some general public works projects, some facility projects that do not qualify in bond issuance, and some engineering projects. So the overall size of this issue is $1,135,000. This report, if whoever is controlling the screen wants to scan down a little farther, the first few pages are just the narrative that talks about the projects, the features that will be put forward with the sale, the authority to issue this type of debt, a few other things related to the issue itself. But I'm going to ask that you go two more, that page there. So this page will be included in this document as well as the one when we talk about the bond resolutions. This is the sizing page, and on the left-hand side is the detail. This is the promissory notes. It's the detail of the individual projects that are being funded here and how we come to the sizing of $1,135,000. We do estimate some of the issuance expenses at this time. Some are bid the day of the sale, and others are estimated. So at the bottom of this schedule is the overall size, the $1,135,000. And we'll talk about the bond issue with the next packet of material. The following page then is just, it's actually an allocation of the issue. It breaks down the pieces related to the fire and police separately from all the other projects. This is more of an internal allocation that's useful to staff, but it does show the principal and interest for each of these purposes over that 10-year time period. And the next schedule included in this packet, you'll see this one in both documents. It's the calculation of, we've consolidated that principal payment and interest payment for the promissory notes are in the blue columns, and we've combined that with the new issue for the bonds, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, and taking those two issues with your existing debt to show the future debt service payments by taking on these borrowing and a calculated interest rate. Part of the purpose of doing this is to make sure that we are falling within your debt policies in terms of the overall tax rate of that's been established by approval by the council at a previous meeting when you establish your debt policies. The next schedule, again, will be a duplicate in the bond report as well. One of the things we do in working with staff is we not only look at the 2020 issues, or 2021, I guess in this case, I see that the headers are not updated here, apologize for that. But we also look at the future capital plans for the city, and we build out a longer term model. Again, so that we can ensure that this issue with all your future plans will keep you within your authorized policy for tax rate as well as debt issuance capacity. And the last schedule on this document is the interest rates as we have seen them over the last 12 months time on an indices that's tracked in the market. It's called the bond buyer index. And you can see that this graph is a little volatile in the early years. That's when, or early part of the year, when we were experiencing some of the activities with COVID. We hit a low in August. We've seen some increase in rates, but we're back down to fairly low rates. And I might point out that August was an all-time historic low rate, and we're still in amazingly low interest rate environment. So we expect to see pretty good results with this issuance of this debt as compared to where you might have been a year ago at this time. So that's kind of the summary of the promissory note. And if there's a desire to take action on that one, then I'll kind of review the bond issues and the resolutions as a presentation in full, and then you can act on those individually. And I'll explain why there's so many resolutions for that.
Thank you very much, Don. First, I just want to mention that I want to make sure that the public understands that each of these resolutions tonight are simply the start of an annual process to issue bonds for major city projects. This year, we are also able to refinance existing debt to save taxpayer dollars with the lower interest rates. These items will come back to the City Council in the future for final action. With that said, can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
Nancy Forbeck, I so move.
Moved by Councilor Forbeck. I believe it was a second by Councilor Keys.
I would second it.
Yeah, Mark's got it, sorry. Sorry.
Okay, so it was second by Councilor Prushel. So we have a motion by Forbeck, second by Prushel. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Is there any further discussion? I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Blakely.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Aye.
Just a minute, councilors. I have a comment from City Manager Luther.
I apologize. I just wanted to clarify that this is for action on item 12B specifically, and that each item in the agenda will be voted on separately.
Thank you, City Manager Luther, for that clarification. So we will, if we could start over with the roll again, could you do that, Clerk Stotler, please?
You bet. Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Blakely.
Aye.
Councilor Forbeck.
Aye.
Councilor Keys.
Aye.
Councilor Levy.
Aye.
Councilor Prushel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Moving on to item 12C is consideration of initial resolution 2021-16, authorizing general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $2,795,000 for street improvement projects.
Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
Yeah, actually,
Just a
I'd like to
second.
just make a few comments before you take action on these.
Okay, Don, I would ask you to go ahead and get started, just for councils to be aware, we're at 12C. So after the presentation, we will proceed after that. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead,
thank
Dawn.
you very much. So there are several items that you'll be addressing individually, 12B, C, D, E, F, and G. And those all relate to the issuance of general obligation bonds. And so the pre-sale report that you have in front of you on the screen now is the pre-sale report that relates to all of these items. And the reason there are separate resolutions is under state statute, municipal bonds are issued by purpose. So you're required to consider each purpose individually. So you have a purpose related to street improvement projects. That's one of the resolutions. You have a purpose related to some community development projects, which is a separate resolution. There's a purpose related to park and public grounds projects. And then there also is a purpose related to the refundings. And so each one of those purposes has to be considered separately, and then they're all combined together for the issuance and the notification of the total dollar amount. And while the resolution that you're approving this evening is to not to exceed, we will actually go to market with what we believe is actually necessary. So the pre-sale report you have before you is a slightly different dollar amount. While I would suggest you approve the resolutions for the not to exceed, we do believe that we'll be able to go to market for about $30,000 less, and issue about $30,000 less. And part of the reason for that is when the resolutions were prepared, we didn't have all the refunding components completed, and then when we combined them together, we found that we could probably reduce the overall issuance size. So again, approval of the not to exceed will allow us to issue fewer bonds anyway. But I do want to kind of talk a little bit about the sizing and structure and the benefit of these refundings. So on the pre-sale report, if you can skip over to the schedules, again, we'll start with that. This again is the sizing, and on the right side of this schedule is the amounts and the projects that are being financed with the bonds. So again, there's street projects, parks projects, and community development projects. And the lower part of this document shows the issues that we're refunding. So as a part of the process we go through as your financial advisor is we periodically look at all your outstanding debt to see if there's any opportunity to refinance debt for lower interest rates. And you have, and we've looked at a few of these in the past, but they haven't provided significant enough savings to move forward. But there's a 2009 issue, a 2012 issue, and two 2013 issues that were issued at the time at a much higher interest rate than where rates are presently. So we worked with staff on reviewing these. There also is recognition of some funds on hand. And you'll see when we get into the details of this that these issues were paid for different projects, some related to sewer projects, some related to stormwater projects, some related to water projects, and some related to TIF projects. Your finance and administrative director has reviewed what available cash you have on hand in each of your utilities and in the TIF districts. And we determined with his guidance that the utilization of the cash to pay off, much like we're redeeming some of these CDA lease revenue bonds, we're able to redeem some of these outstanding debt with cash and reduce the refinancing dollar amount that you're issuing. So we have done that, and we'll talk about the benefits and the savings related to that. So the next page of this document and the pre-sale report is again that allocation. We are financing the streets and the parks and the land acquisition over 20 years, but the refundings we're doing over a shorter duration. For each of those issues that we're refunding, we're not extending the life of the issue. We're paying it off in the same time frame as it would have been paid had you not refinanced it. So that last second to last set of numbers to the right reflects that shorter term, and each of those is structured based upon the outstanding issue. So the next couple pages that I'd like to walk through, I think are probably some of the most important ones on this document. And this is the representation of the potential savings by doing these refunding issues. So the one that's represented here is the 2009 issue. On the left-hand side is the issue we're refinancing, and that issue is presently at interest rates of 4% to 4.65%, and we're financing that at rates where we believe will be around 0.7% to 1.22%. Here we've applied funds on hand to pay for a portion of this that could be sewer related or stormwater related, or water related, or TIF. Those are the three areas that we had funds on hand. So just the piece that will benefit the levy on this issue alone is about $116,000 over the next several years of this refinancing. The benefit, having used cash to also apply to this, would actually save the total debt issuance at about $30,000 to $35,000 a year, or $266,000. So you're using cash, but you're not going to be paying interest going forward on any component of that. So these are about 11.4% of what's being refunded, which is a significant opportunity for savings, and that's just one of the issues. Going to the next page, this is the 2012 issue. Same concept, the outstanding issue that we're refinancing in this particular issue is between 2.25 and 3.25%. Our refunding rates were estimated to be 0.7 to 1.8%. The levy portion alone will save your taxpayers about $20,000 to $23,000 a year on average, for about $233,000 or $234,000 over the life of the issue. Utilizing the cash to downsize it, the overall savings is about $730,000. Again, you're using cash, but you're reducing the amount of future payments here. So this one's about 6.2% of the issue being refunded. Again, the levy piece is significant savings here. The next schedule is the 13A issue. This one is a little shorter in terms, but it's between 2% and 2.85. Our estimated rates are between 0.7% and 0.97%. The savings to the levy would be about $34,000 a year for $192,000. And utilization of the cash and reducing those future debt service payments is about $400,000. Some of that is the reduction in the principal amount. So that's about 6.8% of the principal refunded. And the very last issue, or the 13D bonds, rates on those outstanding issue are about 3% to 3.375. New rates estimated at 0.7 to 1.9%. The dollar savings to the levy annually is about $30,000 to $34,000 a year, for $388,000. So these are true savings to your taxpayers that are supporting that debt service with levy dollars. Again, utilizing the cash, the reduced principal and interest going forward is even greater, and that would benefit your utility districts and your TIF districts. So some significant opportunity for savings by pulling all four of these together. Again, they're real saving dollars to the taxpayers of Beloit, and reduce the annual requirements for levying for your debt service. The next couple schedules, again, are similar to what was in the note pre-sale report. The bond issue structure is in the green columns. Again, for a little lower dollar amount than the authorizing resolutions, but it's structured over the refunding at the early years, and the new money towards is through the full 20 years. Again, the impact in terms of the overall levy and the tax rate. And the last two schedules, again, are identical to what was in the promissory note schedules. That includes the future financing plans and both the promissory note issue and the general obligation bonds, and as well as the trend for interest rates on the final page of that document. So again, there are several resolutions that each one will be acted on separately, but they're all related to this particular bond issue. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have on that presentation.
Thank you, Don, for providing us with this information. First, we'll take an approval of the resolution. So can I please have a motion for approval?
I so move. This is Councilor Blakely.
Moved by Councilor Blakely. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Preschel. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion at this time?
I'd just like to make a comment, just to let you know.
Go ahead, Councilor Preschel.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric and Don, for your presentation again. I just want to point out to people who may be watching that this is not something we haven't seen before. We have seen these reports every year when we issue bonds for financing. And so this is a benefit of having a veteran counsel that's seen this stuff before. But I must say that these interest rates, I doubt we'll be getting a refund by using cash to pay these down in the future. Right, Don? This is pretty remarkable rates. I'm kind of amazed that, and then we're basically using what you hear the terms a lot, cash to pay down debt, which is part of the equation here. But the difference in the savings here is remarkable. This is not quite as shocking as the numbers were back in 2016 when we had the refinance or the new rates on that one. But this is pretty remarkable stuff, and I just want to compliment you guys on being such a great team and really handling the finances so well.
Thank you, Councilor Preschel. Any further comments from any other councilors? All right, I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Okay, so on item 12C, there's a first and a second. Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Councilor Blakely.
Aye.
Councilor Forbeck.
Aye.
Councilor Keys. Aye. Councilor Levy.
Aye.
Councilor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. We have next on our agenda is consideration of initial resolution 2021-17, authorizing general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed $205,000 for community development projects.
Thank you, and I didn't know if Don had more to present on this particular one. No, okay. Thank you. So with that said, can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
I so move, Nancy Forbeck.
Moved by Counselor Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second by Counselor Keys.
Second, Counselor Keys. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Is there any further discussion? And again, this is item 12D. I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Counselor Blakely.
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck.
Aye.
Counselor Keys.
Aye.
Counselor Levy.
Aye.
Counselor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. The next resolution is consideration of initial resolution 2021-18, authorizing general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed $125,000 for parks and public grounds projects.
Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
So move, Counselor Keys.
Moved by,
Second by Levy.
moved by Counselor Keys, and seconded by Counselor Levy. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. This is item 12E. Is there any further discussion? I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Counselor Blakely.
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck.
Aye.
Counselor Keys.
Aye.
Counselor Levy.
Aye.
Counselor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 12F is consideration of initial resolution 2021-19, authorizing not to exceed $10,770,000 general obligation refunding bonds.
Thank you, Clerk Stotler. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Move approval.
Moved by Counselor Levy. Is there a second?
Second by Blakely.
Second by Counselor Blakely. At this time, there is a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Counselor Blakely.
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck.
Aye.
Counselor Keys.
Aye.
Counselor Levy.
Aye.
Counselor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Last but not least is consideration of resolution 2021-20, directing publication of notice to electors relating to bond issues and providing for the sale of not to exceed $13,895,000 in general obligation corporate purpose bond series 2021B.
Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
Move approval.
Moved by Counselor Levy. Is there a second?
Second by Counselor Blakely.
Okay, second by Counselor Blakely. At this time, there is a motion and a second to approve the resolution. This is item 12G. Is there any further discussion? I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Anderson.
Aye.
Counselor Blakely.
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck.
Aye.
Counselor Keys.
Aye.
Counselor Levy.
Aye.
Counselor Preschel.
Aye.
President Duncan.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 13 is adjournment.
May I have a motion to adjourn at this time?
So move.
Moved by Counselor Levy. Is there a second?
Second by Counselor Keys.
Seconded by Counselor Keys. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 We are now adjourned, and this ends our council meeting for this evening. Thank you all.
Goodbye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Be safe.